Budget, a spending plan based on income and expenses. It's an estimate of how much money an individual is expected to make and spend over a certain period of time, either a month or a year. Budget projects anticipated revenue and expenditures for a future period based on prevailing internal and external factors. It is a detailed statement of projected financial results prepared by considering input from various levels. Experts say it's a health check for an organization, which remains essential for avoiding cash crunch or losses. Budget is however done by top-level management in the top-down approach, while other levels implement.
Education is the bedrock for the development of every society. What premium does the Nigerian government place on education? How much is budgeted for? How well are these funds utilized? What quality of teachers, students, and graduates are learning institutions churning out? For answers, join us on Leaves and Worms, an expository and incisive program showing every week on AD4 TV Radio and supported by Wole Soyinka Center for Journalism, sponsored by MacArthur Foundation. Don't miss it.
It's supposed to be either, what is it? This is the hinges. Hinges.
In this special report on budget in the education sector of the Federal Capital Territory, AD4 TV Radio will unlock logjams around the budget of the Federal Capital Territory to the education sector in the nation's capital, Abuja. AD4 TV Radio will also consider the implementation level of education budget in the FCT. But first, let's look at what government budgets are. Government budgets are those documents that present a governing body's anticipated revenues and proposed spending for a fiscal year. Government budgeting is, however, important as it enables the government to plan and manage its financial resources to support the implementation of various programs and projects that best promotes the development of the country. Government budgets often require legislative approval and are subject to political pressure from interest groups that compete for resources. It is important to mention that the process involves the budget preparation, budget authorization, budget execution, and accountability. Scouting the internet for information on budget allocation to the education sector of the Federal Capital Territory, the AD4 TV Radio, in countless times of search, was over and again served with a research item written by an independent scholar, Ayomide Akinkaunsi. The question then arises on the education budget of the FCT.
Ẹ̀kọ́ ní ìpìlẹ̀ ìdàgbàsókè gbogbo àwùjọ. Ipò wo ni àwọn alákòóso FCT gbé ètò ẹ̀kọ́ sí gan? Èló ni owó tí wọ́n yà sọ́tọ̀ fún nínú ètò ìṣúná? Báwo ni wọ́n ṣe ná owó tí wọ́n yà sọ́tọ̀ fún? Kí ni ìgbéléwọ̀n àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́, olùkọ́ni àti àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gboyè tí àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga wa ń pèsè gan? Fún àwọn ìdáhùn lóríṣiríṣi, darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ètò Leaves and Worms, ètò akọ́nilọ́gbọ́n àti ìlanilọ́yẹ tí yóò máa wáyé sí ojú ìwòran yín ní ọ̀sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ lórí ẹ̀rọ móhùnmáwòrán AD4 TV Radio, Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn MacArthur Foundation ló ṣe onígbọ̀wọ́ rẹ̀. Ẹ má pàdánù rẹ̀ o.
National Moderator of Civil Society Action Coalition and Education for All, Sakefa member Abdullahi Saleh, speaks on how much of FCT budget he has seen in the last few years.
I oversee Sakefa and the FCT, and it's a shame to also say I've never seen the budget. I don't know if I didn't look very well, but then I've not seen the budget. I have visited the UBE, UBEP to ask, see if what's happening, but then you know that government documents are classified. You don't get them easily, so information is very scanty. To even get these people to attend to you is a problem. I visited the Education Secretary, the FCT too. There was a transition within the year, so they are not really settled. But then I have not seen a budget per se. I know that FCT has been giving priority, but then, just as I said, I haven't seen much being done, and I think again, it's something that I will now that I've been re-elected again for another 2-year term, I will work assiduously to see that we do something about it, hoping that they cooperate with us, because it looks like as a civil society, when you push too hard, they shut you out. So budget, yes, there should be a budget. A budget is an estimate that every ministry, department, agency presents. So to say that there's no budget, I think would not be right. Just that probably they have not made the budget available for the general public.
Should the Budget Act of the Federal Capital Territory be hidden? Again, Saleh speaks on this.
That's why the Freedom of Information Act is there, is there, where information should be made available. However, as I said, the society is seen as an antagonistic body that is out to make trouble with government, so we're not being given all the attention that we need. However, we've been working on the federal government budget, which is actually, when you look at the federal government budget, it doesn't cover states. Just as I said, states are also responsible for education. So we cannot say that the federal government budget covers the entire states, because states also should have something for education. I think we've not done much in analyzing state budgets. We've been looking at the federal government budget, largely because the state budget, as I said again, has not been made public. Though I have gone to the internet and I've seen some figures. Some people tell me that it's not the right figure.
In our quest to have an idea about what has been happening to the education budget of the Federal Capital Territory, AD4 TV Radio has this feedback for you.
Well, honestly, the FCT budget is a budget that, it's especially that of education, it's hard to find. That's correct. Yes, it is hidden, and I don't know why it is hidden. It's supposed to be in the public domain. I also know that the budget of the Federal Capital Territory is also 1 year behind. It's not supposed to be 1 year behind, because I think, like maybe if you check, as of 2021, they were like 1 year behind. So I don't know to what extent it has been, corrected, but I am aware that it is a year behind. So that gives you an idea of, what is really happening with the FCT budget. But be that as it may, it should not be hidden. The budget is a public document. Every citizen of the FCT ought to know what is in the budget of the 2020 of the FCT. Every citizen of the FCT ought to know what has been allocated towards, what is for capital expenditure, what is for recurrent expenditure, what project is the priority project of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, and what they seek to do. These things are very important, and we need to begin to look towards engaging them. I think the citizens of FCT can begin to deploy the Freedom of Information Act. Let's deploy the act. Let's make FOI requests and write to the ministry to publish those budgets. We need to see them. It should be in the public domain. We need to be able to download them and look at them and critique them. That is what citizens are for. The office of the citizen is the #1 office, and so we should deploy the Freedom of Information Act to begin to make demands and demand accountability with respect to those budgets.
Omubisin bidu mepe na ala ọbụla ole ọkwa ndị ọchịchị Federal Capital Territory Nigeria yọrọ ọmụmụ ole ihe nkwado a na-enye ya kedu otu esi iji nkwado niile ahụ eme ihe ụdị ndị nkụzi ole ụmụ akwụkwọ na ndị gụchara n'akwụkwọ ka ha na-atụpụta n'ebe ọmụmụ ala anyị iji nweta nwanye ọsịsa ajụjụ ndị a soro nye anyị n'emume Leaves and Worms ebe a na-akọwapụta ma kọwamie ihe n'izu ụka ọbụla na mgbakọ ndị AD4 TV Radio nke onye ọkammụta Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism ma nwekwa nkwado ndị otu MacArthur Foundation. Ohere a agafekwala gị.
While all phases of budget are separate, these processes overlap in the implementation during a budget year. Our respondent shares more details on the availability of the budget and its implementation.
Monitoring what you cannot see or what you don't have access to is very, it makes monitoring difficult. You can only monitor what you have information about. Because the FCT budget is not available, it's not in the public domain. Let me also be careful with my words. It may be in the public domain, but it's hidden. I think that's the best way to put it, because I'm just trying to make a case for the Federal Capital Territory Administration, but it is not available. It's not easy to find. You can't just make a click. It's either you're going to likely see a newspaper report because that the Senate now has passed so XYZ billion for the Federal Capital Territory Administration as their budget for the year. That's the best you get. But when we talk about the specifics, okay, what has been budgeted, allocated for this, what has been allocated for this, what has been allocated for that, education, health, this, that, you can't get details of that, and that is not good. It's not good for a democracy like ours. So in terms of monitoring, no, I have actually not heard and I've not seen any group, any civil society organization monitoring the budget of the FCT. They may exist, but I have not gotten wind of any of such kind of institution or any of such kind of monitoring. And I think we should begin to do that now, because the FCT seems to be like the cash cow, in quote, the cash cow of the nation. And so, I think, like I said, we need to begin to deploy. I think this is the time the citizens need to deploy all instruments of the law, especially the Freedom of Information Act. Let's begin to write FY requests to ask for the disclosure of this budget, and let's have a peep into the line items, what has been budgeted and what is in the budget. It's important for us to begin to critically analyze these things. And if you also observe, some of the budget of the Federal Capital Territory is even more than the budget of some states. So we have not heard of any monitoring, going on. But at the same time, I think it's time for us to begin to look at it critically and see what can be done, what we need to do differently regarding the budget of the FCT. And let me also say that we need to also speak to the authority. I think maybe we can begin to have a roundtable discussion with the FCTA and begin to find out what is really responsible, why is their budget a year behind, and what can we do to remedy it.
Tracking the education budget of the FCT has become a mystery. The Sakefa National Moderator shares his experience with the AD4 TV Radio.
Well, I agree with you, because we've been doing budget tracking. We realize that when you do budget tracking, there are different ways of tracking budgets. You go to the ministry, they tell you that they have implemented 50, 60, 70%, but when you go out and check, you ask where are those projects. You cannot. You cannot, how do I put it? You cannot see value for what is written in those documents. So we want to look at it from a different perspective, just as Action 8 has been doing and how they've been teaching us. We build similar structures that they built and in the same area, and see how much we have spent and compared to what they have spent and see what difference there is. Then we can now make our position known. But then, yeah, without the budget, it's a bit difficult to track.
Ilimi shine ginshikin ci gaban kowace irin al'umma. Wane irin kima ne hukumar gudanarwa na birnin tarayya ta baiwa ilimi? Kasafin nawa ne aka ware wa bangaren ilimi? Ta yaya ake amfani da waɗannan kuɗaɗen da aka ware wa ilimi? Menene matsayin ingancin malamai da ɗalibai da waɗanda suka kammala manyan makarantu da kuma su kansu makarantun da ake gudanar da harkokin koyo da koyarwa? Domin samun amsoshi, kasance tare da Leaves and Worms a cikin shirin baje koli da faɗakarwa wanda ake gabatarwa a kowane mako a tashar AD4 TV Radio, wanda cibiyar Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism tare da haɗin gwiwar gidauniyar MacArthur Foundation suka ɗauki nauyi. A kasance tare da shirin.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory have continued to express their disappointment in the issue of the Federal Capital Territory's education budget. These individuals are convinced that the shrouding of the FCT budget is an evidence of intent to carry out acts of corruption.
Because of corruption, is one of the reasons. They don't want people to know what is the actual amount that's budgeted for the FCT.
So many factors could cause that. Number one, government. You were talking about the budgets. Has the budget been released to the school? That is number one. Number two, you don't talk about those who are the principals, the headmasters. Of course, you know that it's a juicy appointment now. You see, these people use the money for something else, not for what it was budgeted for. So that's another serious challenge. So it all goes down to corruption that we see in Nigeria today. That it pitches here and there. It affects every system, every sector of the economy. Let government release good money for projects in school, and let the teachers, let the principals, the headmaster use what have been released. It should be applied to those structures, those things that needed to be done to be developed in schools, so that our children can have quality education.
I think people involved are the one making it so difficult for people not to see, because they know what they are doing. Some hands are inside, so they don't want to let people know.
The public servants that we have don't want to let us know or have this information so that we can question them and engage them on these expenditures they make.
I may not know why it is hidden, but maybe maybe they don't have budget, or if they have, they hid it for their own personal interest.
Others who also blame the woes of public schools across the FCT on the hidden nature of the budget complain that the content of a budget that is not known can neither be monitored nor supervised.
Ordinarily, anything that has to do with the budget, whether at the federal level or at the state or even at the local government, I don't think it should be a hidden document. It should be in the public glare so that everybody can see it and know what obtainable in every sector, not even the education sector only. Every sector of the economy of the country, and even in the states, is as well as best to be in the public view.
If there is transparency in it, it will be made open everywhere, and stakeholders have a lot to do. Otherwise, FCT education should be made open for people to know and for government to actually prove that their level of work that to public to see.
A lot of government information is mostly shredded in secrecy. Maybe that's one, or maybe they do, but probably maybe I didn't have opportunity to have a look at one. No, actually, these are public information. It's supposed to be public because it's meant to take care of public institutions and it has public school particularly. So it ought to be public.
I don't think it's right to even hide the budget from the people, because the money is meant for the people. So they should know the detail of every kobo the government is going to spend on education. Hiding it, I think, is a way of conceiving some things that the government don't want people to know. And I don't think it's the right thing to do.
You know, this country is a very terrible country. So many things happen at the same time. Well, nothing surprises us again. So if it is hidden for any reason, well, they know why it is hidden. You will not hear it from me. They know why it is hidden until they tell it. But it will be very fine if they make it open, so people can critique it, make inputs, and all that.